You ever wonder why a story that's, 3,000 years old can still have the power to just stop you in your tracks? It's not just some old tale about gold and glory. It's because the story of King Solomon, it's like a mirror. It shows us our biggest dreams, our moments of incredible clarity, and yeah, our most dangerous temptations. It's a story about the true weight of a gift and what happens when we start to forget where it came from. All right, so let's get right into it. The best way to understand this whole thing is to start with the question. I mean, the one question at the absolute core of Solomon's entire story. And believe me, it's a question that bounces right out of the ancient world and lands square in our laps today. And how you answer it, well, that kind of defines everything.
No, seriously. Take a second. If you could ask for anything, what would it be? Be honest. Money? A long, healthy life? Seeing your rivals fail? This isn't just some party game, this is the ultimate character test. And it was put to a young, totally overwhelmed new king in a dream that would literally change the course of history. So picture this. The place is Gibeon. Solomon is just a kid, basically. He's brand new to the throne, and you can just imagine the weight on his shoulders. And then he has this dream, this divine encounter. He's basically handed a blank check and told, ask for whatever you want. His answer in this one moment is what kicks off his entire golden age.
And there it is. This is where it gets wild. He doesn't ask for the stuff we'd probably ask for. Not riches, not a long life. He asks for a discerning heart. Some translations even call it a listening heart. He basically says, look, I'm in way over my head here. I don't know what I'm doing. Just help me understand people. Help me know right from wrong. And that humility, that choice, it pleased God so much that he got the wisdom, yeah, but he also got all the other stuff he didn't even ask for. But, legendary wisdom like that doesn't just poof, appear out of thin air. A foundation had to be built first. And what's so fascinating is where that foundation was built. It was forged in two completely opposite places. Total political chaos and, well, profound silence. It's so easy to picture Solomon's reign as this peaceful, golden time, but it started with anything but. His dad, the great King David, he's old, he's frail, and the palace is buzzing with intrigue. Solomon's older brother, Adonijah, tries to pull a fast one and just declare himself king. It was a total mess. It actually took this secret plot between the prophet Nathan and Solomon's mom, Bathsheba, to make sure David's real choice for king was honored. So Solomon's crowning, it was basically putting things back in order after a full-blown crisis. So, okay, the throne is secure. Now Solomon gets to work on his life's masterpiece, building this incredible temple for God. But it's how it was built that tells us something really important. It shows us that sometimes the biggest work gets done when it looks like absolutely nothing is going on. I mean, just think about this for a second. It's an incredible image. These massive, perfect stones. They were all cut and finished miles away at the quarry. Then they were brought to the temple site and put together in complete silence. No hammers, no chisels, no noise of construction at all. It's this idea of divine silence. And it's such a powerful metaphor, right? It makes you wonder, those quiet times in our own lives, the times we feel like we're not getting anywhere, maybe that's when the real work is being done. The foundation's being laid, even if we can't hear a thing. All right, so the foundation is set. The prayer for wisdom? Answered. But a gift like that, it can't just be an idea, right? It's got to be put to the test. And that test, boy, it was going to come in the form of a very real, very human crisis. Okay, this is probably the story you've all heard. The most famous case of Solomon's career. Two women show up at the throne. There's one living baby and one who died in the night. And both women are claiming the living baby is theirs. I mean, talk about a high-stakes situation. No witnesses, no DNA tests. It's just one woman's word against the other. This isn't just some legal riddle. It's a direct challenge to that discerning heart he prayed for. And this is where Solomon's genius just shines. He comes up with a plan that completely bypasses their arguments and cuts straight to who they are deep down. He calls for a sword, says he'll just cut the baby in two. And boom, their true colors fly. The fake mom, she's so eaten up by envy, she's like, yep, do it. If I can't have him, she can't either. But the real mother, she's in agony. She screams, no, please, just give him to her. Just let him live. She'd rather lose her son than see him harmed. And that right there, that's the whole point. This wasn't just some clever courtroom trick. This was a perfect demonstration of what he asked for in that dream.
The ability to see past the noise, past the lies, and get to the truth of the human heart. He knew that real love will sacrifice anything, but envy just wants to destroy. That insight, that was the proof of his divine wisdom.
And after that, Solomon's fame just went through the roof. His rule became the golden age. We're talking peace, wealth, global recognition, the whole deal. But, and this is a big but, here's where the story takes a turn. Because it turns out the hardest test wasn't surviving a crisis, it was surviving success. The gift was about to become a trap. To really get what happened next, you have to understand the mind-boggling scale of this success. Let's start with a number, 666. That's how many talents of gold flowed into his kingdom every single year. We're talking over 25 tons of pure gold. In today's money, that's billions. It's a number that feels unreal. And that river of gold started to change everything. And with that kind of money comes military power. So next up, 1,400. That's how many chariots he had. Think of them as the F-35 fighter jets of the ancient world. It was a clear message. We are an untouchable superpower. And of course, you can't have chariots without horses. So the next number is 12,000. 12,000 horses. Can you even imagine the logistics? The stables, the food, the trainers? The sheer cost was a constant flashing sign of his royal power. And then there's this number, 1,000. 700 wives, 300 concubines. 1,000 women. Now, sure, a lot of these were political deals to keep the peace, but the sheer scale of it, it's just staggering. It points to a level of personal excess that's hard to wrap your head around. And you have to ask yourself, how can a listening heart possibly hear anything with 1,000 voices pulling it in every direction? So at his absolute peak, Solomon wasn't just a king. He was a global celebrity. World leaders like the famous Queen of Sheba would travel for months on end just to get an audience with him, to see the wealth and hear the wisdom. They came to hear the wisdom God had put in his heart. But do you see the subtle change happening? People weren't looking at God anymore. They were looking at Solomon. The focus was slowly, dangerously, shifting from the giver to the gift. And that's the question that really defines the rest of Solomon's life, isn't it? What happens when the gift becomes more important than the one who gave it? What happens when all those things you were given, the wisdom, the money, the power, become the very things you start to worship? That blessing of abundance, it starts to eat away at that humble, listening heart that got him there in the first place. So let's pull this all together. Why are we still talking about this 3,000 years later? Because Solomon's story isn't just his story. It's a pattern. It's an arc that you see played out over and over again in history, in the lives of people we know, and if we're being really honest with ourselves, sometimes in our own lives too. Think about it. Does this arc sound familiar? It starts with something pure, right? A humble ask for a little bit of wisdom. Then you have that quiet period of just putting in the work, building a solid foundation. That work leads to a peak, your own personal golden age of success and recognition. But then, it's almost so slow you don't even notice it. A drift begins. And that original why, the whole reason you started, it just gets lost in all the noise. And that right there is the biggest lesson from all of this. Because Solomon's kingdom, it didn't last. It eventually broke apart. The gold was stolen. The temple was torn down. All the flashy external signs of his golden age, they just disappeared. It proves that the true measure of a golden age isn't how much wealth you have at the top, but what's left of your wisdom when it's all gone. So, we're going to end right back where we started with a question for you. Every single one of us will have our own golden ages, those moments of success, of clarity, of feeling on top of the world. And for most of us, those ages will end. Things will crumble. The real challenge that this story throws at our feet is this. When your golden age becomes rubble, what's going to be left? When the noise finally dies down and the glitter is gone, what kind of foundation will you find underneath it all? What are you building right now in the quiet?